Rome was a world built on ambition, but Nero was born into something darker fear. Long before he wore the laurel crown, he was a child trapped inside a family that used blood as currency. His mother, Agrippina the Younger, was a woman the Senate whispered about at night, ruthless, brilliant, and terrifyingly patient. She lived by a single truth: power belongs to those who dare to carve it from others. When Nero was only 16, her plan succeeded. Claudius, the emperor, conveniently died poisoned, the rumor said, by Agrippina's own hand. And so a boy barely old enough to shave became emperor of the largest empire in the world. Rome celebrated, but the people did not know the real truth. Nero never wanted the throne. He wanted peace music, poetry, applause. Instead, he inherited an empire that expected a god, and a mother who expected absolute obedience. Behind the golden statues and triumphal arches, a cold war simmered between mother and son. Nero ruled Rome, but Agrippina ruled Nero. For now. History often paints Nero as a monster, a tyrant who delighted in chaos. But for the first 5 years of his reign, Rome experienced one of the most peaceful eras in its history. Taxes fell, executions stopped, trade flourished, the arts exploded with new life. Nero opened theaters, supported poets, funded public games, and pushed Rome toward cultural grandeur. He brought music into the heart of the empire, something no emperor had dared before. But while the common people rejoiced, the Senate seethed. To them, Nero's love for performance was an embarrassment, a sign that the emperor cared more applause than statecraft. The court began to fracture. Senior senators whispered, "He is soft. He is weak. He is too much like his mother." But the truth was more complex. Nero was trying desperately to prove that an emperor could rule with beauty, not brutality. He did not know yet that Rome preferred its rulers carved in iron, not art. Agrippina had built Nero's throne with her own hands. She had also decided she would sit on it, whether Nero liked it or not. She demanded a seat beside him in political meetings. She interfered with his decisions. She threatened those who spoke against her. And when Nero began seeking independence, she reminded him of one thing: "I created the emperor. I can unmake him." A mother's love turned into chains. But Nero was no longer a boy, and he was terrified of her power, her influence, her ability to rally the military if she wished. Rome belonged to him, but its machinery still belonged to her. So Nero made a decision that would forever stain his legacy. He set a trap. Agrippina was invited to a pleasant voyage aboard a beautifully crafted ship. But once it sailed into the moonlit waters, hidden mechanisms snapped. The ship shattered beneath her feet, collapsing into the sea. Agrippina survived. The next day, soldiers arrived to finish the accident. When Nero heard the report, he froze. His mother, a woman he both feared and loved, was dead, and whatever innocence remained in him died with her. From that moment on, Rome would never look at Nero the same way. Not as a ruler, not as a man, as a monster. It began with a spark in the night, a crack of flame inside the wooden shops of the Circus Maximus. Rome, the empire of marble, still had a heart of timber. And within hours, the city became an inferno. For 6 days and 7 nights, the capital of the world burned. The flames swallowed markets, temples, homes, monuments, everything. Screams echoed across the Tiber. Families fled through streets of fire. The sky glowed red, as if the gods themselves had descended in fury. And Nero? He wasn't even in Rome. He was nearly 50 kilometers away, in his villa at Antium. When the news reached him, he rushed back immediately, not to perform, not to gloat, but to save what was left. He opened his palace to shelter survivors. He organized food distribution. He personally coordinated firefighting efforts. Yet the people's grief needed a villain. Rumors spread like the flames themselves. Nero set the fire to make room for a new palace. Nero watched Rome burn while singing. Nero wanted to rebuild Rome in his own name. History still debates these rumors. Some are propaganda, others mythology. What is known is this: Rome burned, and Nero's reputation burned with it. The empire demanded answers. Someone had to be blamed. Nero pointed to a small, widely misunderstood religious group growing quietly in Rome: the Christians. Roman historians later accused him of using them as scapegoats. But in the chaos of the time, Nero believed punishing them would silence public rage. It didn't. The persecution became one of the darkest stains of his reign. Executions, torture, public brutality atrocities that would echo for centuries. Nero thought he was stabilizing the empire. Instead, he radicalized a religion that would one day reshape the world and immortalize him not as an emperor, but as a tyrant. This was the moment Nero lost the people forever. The Senate despised him. The people feared him. The provinces revolted. And Nero, already emotionally fractured, began drowning in paranoia. He ordered the deaths of advisors, senators, even friends. He trusted no one. Sleep escaped him. Whispers followed him through the marble halls of his palace. Then came the final blow. Galba, a powerful governor in Spain, declared himself emperor. The Praetorian Guard abandoned Nero. The Senate condemned him as a public enemy, the first emperor in Roman history to suffer such humiliation. Rome no longer belonged to the artist emperor. It belonged to his hunters. Nero fled the palace that once worshipped him, now carrying only a few loyal servants and a heart crushed by betrayal. The dream of ruling with beauty had become a nightmare of blood. He hid in a small villa outside Rome. Wind whispered through the trees. Hoofbeats approached in the distance soldiers sent to arrest him. Nero asked a single question: "Is there any corner of the world where I am still loved?" No one answered. As soldiers closed in, Nero realized his greatest fear was not death, but being forgotten. He whispered his last words, a plea to history itself: "Qualis artifex perio? What an artist dies in me." Unable to end his own life, he guided a servant's hand to help plunge the blade. The world's most infamous emperor died not with fire, not with fury, but with the quiet collapse of a broken soul. In the centuries that followed, his enemies wrote his story, and perhaps that is Nero's final tragedy. We may never know how much of the monster was truth, and how much was a lie crafted by those who wanted his memory to burn forever.